Hey everyone, welcome back to the Niche Pursuits podcast. Today we're recording an episode of This Week in Niche Pursuits News, and I have Jared with me. Jared, how you doing today?
Good. So we're going to have to fly. We got a lot of stuff here. We had to chop a bunch just right before we started recording, and we still have a lot in the agenda.
That's right. There's a lot of news to cover and a lot of juicy little bits here about Google. They always come up in the news, and so we got some fun things to share as far as that goes. But also, I'm going to give an update on a side hustle that I don't believe I've provided an update in. It feels like 6 months.
Wow.
So it'll be going back a ways. People can dig into their memories, and if they don't, I'm going to provide the whole update here in just a second. And then we got a couple of weird niche sites. You asked me if your site was weird enough to include, and I agree that it is. So.
I think it's the first time I've ever asked you about a site ahead of the podcast.
Yeah, and we can explain why. There's some, it's been a rocky road for this particular site, and so we'll chat about that, but I think it's going to be a fun one. So.
Before we jump into the podcast, I wanted to let you know that today's episode is sponsored by Search Intelligence. Here's a short clip of Ferry from Search Intelligence showing you how their agency built digital PR links to a client's website.
In this video, I will show you how we landed a placement on BBC and dozens of links in massive regional online publications such as Wales Online, Daily Post, and many more. This PR campaign was about the easiest place to pass your driving test for the first time in the UK. This is how we've done it. We simply went to DVLA website, found the latest car driving test data by test center, and downloaded the data in a CSV format. Once we had the data, all we had to do is to look at the number of total tests per test center, then look at the number of first time passes to calculate the percentage of people who passed their test for the first time. Once we had the percentage numbers, we created a press release with our findings. Then we went to Roxhill and found journalists who talk about driving tests, and also looked for journalists who write in regional publications in the UK. In total, we have found about 1,800 journalists and sent them our press release by email. Within less than a day, our story got picked up by BBC, Cornwall Live, Wales Online, and dozens of other publications in the UK, providing our client a tsunami of backlinks perfectly relevant to the audience of the client, who is a specialist in learner driver car insurance. I hope this video is helpful and it shows you how you can also build links with freely available data from official sources.
If you want similar link building PR campaigns for your website, head to search-intelligence.co.uk and get in touch with them now.
So let's dive into it. First up is some Google news here. Somebody posted a nice sort of synopsis on LinkedIn. Let me share my screen here because we're going to just kind of share this post from LinkedIn. This is Nicole De Leon, and she's summarizing a lot of things. Recently, Google had announcement of Circle, which, to be honest, I don't know exactly what the Circle is that they announced. But during this, they mentioned several things related to Google SGE. And so the overall headline here is that Google may be signaling that SGE isn't happening anytime soon or at all, right? And so that's something that at SEOs, we would love for it to not happen. We would love Google to just be the standard organic results. We get more clicks to our websites. And so that's what really is piquing my interest is, hey, is SGE not really going to happen? And Nicole gives some evidence that could be the case, that they're kind of subtly announcing this. And so I'm going to just read a few quotes that came from the same sort of press release, the same mention that Google had. In one, they said, but our goal is to make AI helpful for everyone, not just early adopters, right? And so you could read that to mean that, hey, it's only being used by early adopters right now. Regular users aren't really diving in and using it a lot. Maybe they're seeing some usage stats that say, hey, this isn't great. Then they also go on to mention that this week's launch of AI-powered insights for multi-search is the result of testing we began last year to see how Gen AI can make search radically more helpful. with SGE in Search Labs. We've gotten lots of useful feedback from people who've chosen to join this experiment, and will continue to offer SGE in labs as a test bed for bold new ideas, right? So this may suggest that SGE isn't as helpful for as many people as they hoped, right? That it's really just sort of these early adopters, the AI, frenzy in the early days, but now it's just going to remain in Search Labs as a test bed, right? Makes it sound like, hey, they're not rolling this out tomorrow. That is for sure. And then the final quote that Nicole pointed out here as maybe evidence that SGE is not happening anytime soon is that, quote, so moving forward, as we continue to experiment and uncover which applications of Gen AI are most helpful, we'll introduce them into search more broadly, like we're doing now with multi-search results, right? So they're still looking for the right applications for Gen AI. Maybe it's not search, right? When they do find that, they're just sort of saying, hey, of course, it's a very positive spin, but if you look at it through our eyes, maybe it is a positive thing that Google's not going to roll this out. So what do you think of all this? Do you think there's any weight behind these arguments?
I mean, I don't think there's anything strongly worded here about which direction they're going. The biggest thing that stands out to me is this is a gradual shift in the language they're using, right? The the way they're talking about it. I remember the only news podcast I've missed was while I was out on a road trip this past summer, and you and Josh did the news podcast, and that was the week that you guys were featuring all the commentary from the Google CEO about how bullish they were, how the early testing was clear that this is the way of the future, and the language that they were using, the way they were describing generative AI compared to the way they're describing generative AI now. I think that's the biggest shift to me, is that it's gotten moved to a very passive, we'll see, wait and see approach, lots of testing, just going to follow the way that people tell us to go. One of our many things we're working on. Whereas last summer, at the peak of it, I mean, you had the CEO coming out and giving a broadcast message about how this is definitively where we are headed, right?
Right, exactly. They have their big road show, they're on stage, they've got the crowds there. And, that was right in the middle of, again, the AI frenzy, right? Early
Actually,
last year.
I'm looking it up 6 months ago, almost to the day of our recording right now.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
July.
Yeah. And so it is interesting that the language has shifted. And anytime there is, minor nuances in what Google is sharing publicly, right, that could mean big things happening behind the scenes, right? What it all means exactly, we don't know. But I tend to agree with Nicole that this feels like some small hints that it's at least not ready to roll out anytime soon. They don't come out and say that, but if they're still testing, they're kind of seeing that early adopters are using it, but kind of insinuating the general public isn't, right? I think we have a long time as SEOs before anything like this comes out, if at all.
I mean, we started to see early signs of this, if I remember correctly, last month or the month prior. There used to be an SGE, a banner that said this is in beta until December 2023, implying that in December 2023, they would be launching it live, right, out of beta. And then magically that disappeared, and we didn't launch SGE. It just disappeared, almost implying like, let's go ahead and remove those dates. Let's not put ourselves under the pressure of having to release SGE. So this seems to just be another continuation of some of the language shifting that we're seeing around SGE.
Yep. No, that's a good point. And here we are at the end of January. So we're already a month past that sort of first date that they said. So we'll keep our eyes on it. Some of the language, right, that they have as a corporation. And there was a particular line here, just how, they're still experimenting, things like that. It kind of leads me to think what's going on behind the scenes at the company. Who's working on this, who's trying to grow it. And that's actually our next story here, is a little bit about what's happening behind the scenes at Google. You don't often hear from employees, senior developers that are working at Google come out publicly and say something that might be considered negative. But that is what we have here today. So her name is Diane. She's a staff software engineer at Google. And she had a very lengthy LinkedIn post. And she says, my hot take, Google does not have one single visionary leader, not a one. And she basically goes on to see that the executive team is not driving anything innovative anymore. I mean, Google used to be known as this company that was extremely innovative, but her looking on the inside, she's not seeing it. There's no real leadership. It feels like people are kind of resting and waiting and trying to see what's going to happen to the business. She says, right now, all of these boring, glassy-eyed leaders are trying to point in a vague direction, AI, while at the same time killing their golden goose. Given that they have no real vision of their own, they really need their subordinates to come up with cool stuff for them. I really like that line of like, hey, it sounds like, hey, within the company, they're all looking forward to, hey, AI is the next big thing. Let's do something with that, but there's no clear vision about what to do with AI, which is what we just talked about. They tried something and maybe that's not going to work, SGE. And all the while killing their golden goose. Golden goose, of course, being organic search results, their ad platform that, their ads. And so it's kind of crazy that somebody on the inside, a software engineer, is coming out and saying, hey, Google's kind of screwing up. There's no real leader here. She even goes on to kind of say the work environment is not that great. She says, sort of quote other employees saying, well, I guess I'll just do the job until they fire me, right? They're all kind of got these golden handcuffs, or, they've got this cushy job. They're just kind of going to do their job till somebody fires them. Doesn't sound like a real exciting place to work anymore.
Sounds more like Dunder Mifflin than it does
a little
Google.
bit Dunder Mifflin-esque, yeah. She says Google really was a magical place not very long ago. And for some reason, executives are cashing out their human capital at the very moment it seems to me like they really need it. So, boy,
First
a
off,
lot to kind of chew on there. Yeah, great stuff, right?
How is she still employed?
I don't know. Maybe she won't be in another week.
I keep expecting to open up the LinkedIn to get ready for this and expect it to say like independent consultant for technology companies.
Open to hiring opportunities.
I mean, good for her. Like, I mean, it sort of echoes a lot of the stuff we've been feeling for the last year or so. I mean, obviously we don't have any inside insights, but she goes on later in the comments to share articles that basically, in essence, liken the situation she shared to previous large failures of organizations such as Boeing, such as Nokia, and I believe one or two more. I don't know why it's not showing up for you, Spencer. It was in the comments that she shared that I saw. Obviously, we all get a little bit of a different LinkedIn look, I guess.
Yeah, I see one of the comments here, and there may be just kind of buried in here.
There's some more,
nested or whatever. Yeah.
Anyways, the point being that she's really, what I got from those articles she shared and kind of glancing through those is she's likening this not just to a temporary issue, perhaps spurned on by AI or some lack of leadership, perhaps, but she's really likening this to the fates that Boeing and Nokia. I mean, Nokia, if you can remember back in the day before a lot of our listeners were probably even of age, was a huge technology company that just absolutely blew it. And no one even hears about Nokia anymore, So she's not just kind of regaling of a difficult time at Google, but it feels to me like really likening this to a future for Google.
Yeah, and it's a story that I guess in the book it's called The Innovator's Dilemma.
Right.
Kind of tells this overarching story of companies that mature a lot, right? Often usually companies are started with some revolutionary idea or technology, which is the case for Google. And then they are very, very successful. And over time, and it's a different timeline for all companies, they become this huge, massive corporation where it becomes such a big gamble to try something new and different and innovative rather than to just stay the course.
Yep.
And so it kind of feels like maybe Google is at this mature stage where they've got these, these suits that are, just trying to manage the company rather than innovate. And it's two sides of one coin, because they feel like they need to innovate and they feel like AI is it. But what, according to Diane, like nobody really knows as an employee what they're supposed to do. The Google executives are kind of expecting the employees to come with this great innovation. And well, that's usually not the way things go. And so I don't know, other than, it's just fascinating to watch, especially given, I think it was last week or the week before, that like the title of the podcast here is Google getting worse? Like, is Google search results getting worse? And we've talked a lot about that. It's like, well, is it because of this cultural environment of non-innovation happening at Google that their search results are just lagging?
I'm sure Google would hate me to make a comparison to Apple, but not drawing too many comparisons, but certainly Apple went through this phase and they brought back in Steve Jobs. And Steve Jobs came back to a company that was fledgling and completely turned it around. Almost to Diane's point, came in with a strong leadership and a clear direction of where he wanted the company to go. And they turned towards a lot of the famous products that we now know and love. And actually many of that led them to the famous products we now know and love that have been sunsetted because they've been innovating upon innovating upon innovating, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like they need a big grand visionary to come in and truly guide this ship. And, the current CEO is great, I'm sure, but, we're just hearing some grumblings here from an employee. What this all means,
well,
I don't know.
We like to talk about all the problems and the drama, and obviously we feel very strongly about the search results right now and what's been happening to search the last couple of years. But we've said it before, it's worth saying again, like, I don't envy their position right now. Between AI, between spam, between antitrust, there's a lot going on over there that they got to figure out. So I don't envy it. Glad it's not me, but they're not doing a good job with it.
Yeah. Yep. Clearly from the inside, if you got, software engineers complaining, and this LinkedIn post is quite popular, a lot of people chimed in and agreed, there's something going on the inside there. So we'll move on to this next one. It's sort of just a quick hit here that it's interesting of note. It ended up not being quite as big as a story as it initially seemed. But here it is on Search Engine Land. Google to cut thousands of search quality rater jobs after dropping contract with Appen. And so we all know that Google hires humans to do these quality ratings. They look at websites and they have a big quality rater guidelines doc that people can and should look at to sort of specify, hey, is this website, does it look authoritative? Does it look professional? Does it meet all of these other quality guidelines that Google has given us? They have farmed that out to a third party, which was Appen. Does it say how many employees? Or yeah, it does here. 16,000. Google contracted Appen for a couple of thousand raters. Google has written it has about 16,000 overall quality raters. So Appen, employed a significant number of quality raters, but and so the rumblings was like, oh, are they getting rid of human quality raters? Well, a Google spokesperson responded to this article and said, no, that's not the case. They said the quality rater work contracted with Appen will be moved to other suppliers away from Appen. So, and quote, I guess I'll say, our decision to end the contract was made as part of our ongoing effort to evaluate and adjust many of our suppliers' partnerships across Alphabet to ensure our vendors' operations are as efficient as possible.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, even the article itself says, we know that they've kind of said, hey, we're going to just shift that elsewhere. But then there's also reports in here that AI is starting to replace what the quality raters were doing. Don Anderson, I'll quote out of the article, Don Anderson, one of our brightest contributors here, speculated these changes would happen months ago. And now, with many from the Google Ads team being laid off and replaced with AI, Google following a similar playbook for assessing quality makes sense. And when I first read the story and didn't know that they were rehiring these positions, I thought, well, duh, we have suspected for a while that the human quality raters are there to train the large language model, right?
Right.
They're there to train the machine learning to identify patterns and prompt those with enough regularity that then the machine can do it itself. So, I mean, it's I guess not the writing on the wall for quality raters, but it could be a bit of an ominous sort of foreboding of what could come.
Yeah. You know what my favorite part of this story is, actually, is that Cyrus Shepard is the one that kind of broke this story. And I don't know if you know this, but the reason he found out first, or the reason he broke this story, is because he is a quality rater. He's hired by Appen. He works for them on the side to rate websites. And so he got an email that sort of shared this big announcement that, their contract is ending and all that. And so then, of course, he took to Twitter and shared it with everyone. And that's what broke the story here for Search Engine Land. So that's just my favorite part.
I agree. And I hope Cyrus is, I've loved having Cyrus as a quality rater. So I hope he, I don't know if he's, obviously he's with Appen. So I hope he gets picked up by one of the other ones. Because, man, what are we going to do without Cyrus telling us about all these little things?
Exactly. I know. Got to have the inside scoop. I'm sure he's working on that right now as we speak. So
such a coup.
All right. Now, the final story for the day is kind of a follow-up to one that we talked about a long time ago. We have talked about Sports Illustrated in the past. Now, we saw this headline, Sports Illustrated publisher lays off most of its staff. Does it give a percentage here, or does it just say
all?
Like of what staff?
All
of its guild represented staff.
This article, for the record, is very confusing. Just so you know, it is very confusing.
How can they lay off their entire staff? There must be, right? Are they out of business now? Anyways, I don't know. Other than there's a huge shakeup with the staff. They, had to let, they've had to let people go. And this has happened.
It's not all. I thought I saw somewhere it's all, but I haven't seen that right now. So let's hold that. I'm going to try to find that.
Well, I'll just read the first paragraph here because it does reference the word all. It says, the future of Sports Illustrated was uncertain Friday after the publisher of the iconic magazine and website laid off most or probably all of its guild represented staff. So guild represented maybe is just the union, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe it's just its union staff. So maybe I don't know what percentage is non-union staff, right? So I don't think they give that percent in here. And so, there's been big shakeups. There's a lot of tech layoffs, other things going on. But what was really interesting, maybe I'll let you jump in, Jared, because you're the one that spotted this, that kind of made this story much more interesting.
You weren't interested in it until I pointed this out to you.
Exactly. Yeah.
The buried down in the bottom, and I missed this. So if this was news and I just missed it, I apologize. Spencer, you missed it as well. So I don't know if it really got talked about. I think it was just a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, we talked about how Sports Illustrated got caught using complete AI personas, fake people. They don't exist. It was all generated by AI, and they were in the news for it. Well, at the bottom of this article, it says in December, so promptly, the Arena Group, the brand behind them, I got a pop-up, of course, hang on. The Arena Group fired Sports Illustrated CEO Ross Levinson after an embarrassing debacle in which Sports Illustrated was caught publishing stories of fake author names and profile photos generated by artificial intelligence. So, I mean, man, the CEO gets canned for that episode we talked about a couple weeks ago on the podcast. Ironically, he's getting canned as follow-through on trying to use AI, presumably to save costs with their staffing. And several weeks later, because they miss a payment to the group that they've licensed their publishing rights to, that publishing company now has to lay off their entire staff that works on Sports Illustrated. It's this weird, vicious, full circle sort of situation.
Wow. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, the world of AI and publishing is just fascinating, isn't it? I mean, it's all these companies trying to use it. Sports Illustrated tried to use it secretly. right? Tried to slip it under the cover, not tell anybody it was AI. And well, that cost the CEO his job here, which I just found out about today, even though it happened in December. And so it is very interesting to see the chain of events from trying to use AI, getting fired. Now they've got more expenses and they're laying off their staff. So
today's news also highlighted something just very interesting. Like we know this exists, but I don't really stop and think about it. Like first we had a story about how Google has quality raters, but really Google doesn't. They hire it out to Appen, a different third-party company. Sports Illustrated has writers, right? They're a magazine, but really they actually sold the rights or gave the rights to a group called the Arena Group, who actually hires the writers and publishes the content. It's just so interesting, the layers upon layers. We look at it, we're like, oh, Sports Illustrated. They're like, well, no, we actually have a company that does that, and they it's such and so forth and so on. It's just so complicated.
Yeah, it is. There's maybe not quite as many sort of staff writers, as there used to be. It's just very common to kind of outsource some of that. So. Oh man, very fascinating stuff. That's the news, I guess, for the week. I mean, there's a lot to sort of comment on, and so if you have comments, leave them in, the YouTube comment section, or find us on Twitter or anything like that. We'd love to hear your thoughts on some of these stories.
I hope you're enjoying the podcast so far. Just wanted to take a short break and remind you that today's episode is sponsored by Search Intelligence. I've got a short clip from Ferry at Search Intelligence showing you how their agency built digital PR links to a client's website.
What a masterpiece PR link building campaign. With 20 links in big publications such as The Sun, Express, Mirror, Wales Online, and still landing, I would say this campaign is a massive success. We told the press that people should turn on their heating this summer if they want to save money next winter. And we landed over 20 links in national and regional UK publications for our boiler client. That's crazy. The campaign hook was pretty clever. It is a known fact, at least in the boiler trade, that if you keep your boiler off for many months, it might rust and it might get you into trouble if you keep it turned off from spring to next winter. We therefore advise the press, with an expert commentary piece, on behalf of our boiler client, that people should turn on their boilers this summer just when the heat wave is in full swing. This way they can avoid a boiler failure next winter and save money. Massive publications picked up our story, including The Sun, Express, Mirror, Wales Online, and a few more dozen publications, giving our client links, lots of links, and lots of happiness hormones. No wonder that so many journalists covered our story, as this headline is a massive link magnet to their audience. This case study highlights the fact that a clever hook can be applied to any insight or story to make a campaign more successful and more compelling to journalists. Can you imagine when people see this headline in the news, you should turn on your boiler this summer? There's no way they would not click on it. I would click on it. So this was the hook, and this is why this campaign was so successful. I hope this video inspires and shows you what's possible with a clever hook.
Are you looking for similar link building PR campaigns for your website? If so, just go to search-intelligence.co.uk and get in touch with them today.
So next up, we're going to chat about our side hustles, things that we have going on the side that's not our main business, things that we're just kind of excited about. So maybe I'll kick things off with mine. This is something that I shared. Again, I don't remember 6 months ago, 8 months ago. I don't remember the last time that I talked about this.
You have talked about it. You have talked about it.
I have indeed. I know that. But I started a website, I think it's less than a year, but call it a year old, that the main purpose, the main goal is to get as much traffic from Facebook as possible. So I've heard of a lot of people that are publishing, on Facebook and getting a ton of traffic. You get a couple of posts that go viral in your Facebook page, in your Facebook group, and you can get a lot of visitors to your website. And so this is something that I've been experimenting now, like I said, about a year maybe. And so I've grown the Facebook page, and I should clarify, it's a page, not a group. I have a Facebook page that is now about 45,000 followers. And I ran a likes campaign to get a lot of these, page likes, just the Facebook ad campaign manager, right? You can get 5 to 10 cent likes if you do it right. And then we will publish a short story, and these are more news, viral type subjects. These are not SEO written articles at all. I'm not trying to rank in Google. We'll write a short story, maybe it's 500 words, and then we take that link from the website, we go over to our Facebook page, we write a sentence or two like, oh, check out this weird thing, whatever it is. And we paste the link directly in the post. And then the group comments and interacts and hopefully goes over and clicks. So it's going okay. It's nothing. It's not my full-time business yet. It's going. Let's just
Don't
say
quit your day job. Is that what you're saying?
I'm going to keep my day job for now.
Okay.
But the potential is there. Like I do feel like if somebody put all their time and attention into this, or more time and attention than I am, right? Even if you're an hour or two a day, like you could see some pretty significant results. And so I did take a screenshot actually of a lot of the Facebook metrics that doesn't show my Facebook page. I'm not going to share that here. So let me share my screen. And it's just a screenshot that I took of kind of in the Facebook manager. It gives a page overview for the last 28 days. So post reach, 410,000, quite a bit. Post engagement, 50,000. And new page likes, 3,600. New page followers, 3,800. And it gives some other things, 3,300 comments.
Link clicks.
But yes, the link clicks
one,
is the magic number. That's the one we're looking for. Is we want as many link clicks as possible, and so I can see link clicks is 13,432. So I've driven, that many visitors from my Facebook page to the website. That's decent, right? That's not bad. But that's pretty much all the traffic of the website, right? Like I don't have any other strategy of getting traffic. This is purely a Facebook play. So like I said, I'm not quitting my day job yet. Some months I'll make a couple $100 when I'm only getting, 10 or 15,000 visitors. That's not a couple $100, right? So let me see if there's anything else that I want to mention. I've pretty much outsourced it all. That's just kind of what I do. So I've got somebody that publishes 1 or 2 very short articles a day. They share it in the Facebook group. The Facebook group is, it's active, right? There's 3,300 comments in 28 days, right? So that's 10 to 15 comments every day, right? And it's a fun group. I like kind of following along, but I don't do most of the work. I should probably dive in and really figure out how to do it better, hit on some strategies to make these go a little bit more viral, look at other examples. I haven't done all that yet, but I've got some nice traction right now.
So a couple questions, if you don't mind.
Please.
You even correct yourself, and forgive me if I missed it. You said group and page at different points. Do you have both, or do you have?
I do not have a group. This is only a page, just a Facebook page. Yes.
So it's a page. Why not a group?
Yes. Because a group, as I understand it, 2 reasons. One is you can't do a likes campaign to a group. So it makes it a lot harder to grow that. I can grow a page just by paying money, right? 5 to 10 cents a like. The second one is I believe in a group, your links. Here's the reason: is in a group, it is a private group typically, and your links don't get as much reach. Mm-hmm. So when it's a public page, people can share it with their friends. They can comment on it, and it might show up in somebody else's feed because they commented on it. It can get a little bit more traction,
right?
Is my understanding. And this is how I've seen other people that have much bigger pages. This is how they do it. So I kind of just followed their example.
So let's say that you wanted to get this to grow 4x, meaning you're going to get 50,000 clicks and maybe qualify for like a media vine, which would put this site into a really cool spot, right? If you wanted to 4x the traffic, and I'm just being very presumptuous here, but would you say quadruple the amount of followers to the page, or would you quadruple the amount of posts that you're sharing to the page? And again, I'm just being very facetious, but I'm just curious maybe what you've learned based on what you've seen so far and how you might apply that going forward in that scenario.
I would first, before I did either of those, try to analyze which posts are going viral and how we could do a better job. Because right now our hit rate is pretty low.
Okay.
Right? It's I don't have a percentage, but 5% of our posts, kind of go viral, get 1,000 clicks or whatever. So I would really dig in, and I know there's some tools or other ways you can analyze other pages in a similar niche and see what they've posted over the past year.
Yeah.
And maybe try to make some of that my own and post very similar things. So that's what I would do, is try to take it from a 5% hit rate to a 10% hit rate. And then I would probably do both. I would post more content and I would grow the page. But
yes, all of the above.
all of the above. But probably posting more content would be what I would do first, to answer your question directly, because you can post a lot. Like we're only doing maybe 2 to 3 times a day. You could easily do 10 times a day. And if you have viral potential posts, like Facebook will find that audience for you. Right.
And are they like current events, or could you recycle some posts, like share them again 28 days later with a different headline and a different image?
That's something that I just talked about with my freelance person just last week, is like, we need to start sharing our things that went viral 6 months ago or 2 months ago. Most 50% of these we could probably reshare and be just fine. Yeah. Kind of evergreen stuff. So
I mean,
that would be a great way to go about it.
By the math you shared, I mean, you spent between $2,500 and $5,000 to get the audience. Obviously there's some costs with having the articles published every day and all that, but certainly it hasn't reached a tipping point yet, but you can start to see the signs of what it looks like to get to that tipping point where this is a very profitable endeavor, I would say.
It could be. It could be. I'm not there yet. Again, I just need to take some time to, set up some better processes and procedures. But I have seen, and not you maybe have as well, that a lot of people are starting to move away from Google and trying to figure out alternative traffic sources. And Facebook has done really well. I mean, some pages are getting millions of visitors a month. In fact, we talked with Kurt Schmidt that his Facebook page with Inside the Magic is massive, right?
Yeah.
And there's lots of other examples that this can do well. I don't have it all figured out yet, but I'm 13,000 clicks, in the last month. I think my highest month ever was a 50,000 visitor month. I just hit that mark. I applied to Mediavine, but they wanted to see more consistency. So I need to do that over a few months. What's wrong with them?
Come on.
So once I can get into Mediavine, though, like the income will triple probably at least.
It's funny. I literally had a consulting call this morning with someone whose website via organic traffic is doing well, but at about 25,000 pages. And one of the things they shared is that I just want to get onto Mediavine. What do you think is the fastest way for me to get on Mediavine? And what I told them is, well, I think the fastest way is to take all your content and start sharing this on Facebook and perhaps other platforms like Pinterest. And see what it does. And if you start to see the breadcrumbs there, then maybe lean into that, because you have a lot of good content and it's ripe for a platform like a Facebook and some of these successes like what you're having.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, it takes time, right? You got to either do it yourself or have somebody in place that's doing it. And, but it's like it's legit. Like, it's very possible. Like, I wouldn't tell anybody, nah, don't try Facebook. Like, you can make it work. It is work. So
darn,
that's my side hustle.
We have to do these side hustles.
I know.
Spencer, if you got to spend more than 20 minutes a week on it, it's just, is it worth it?
That's usually out of my league, right? That's when I just, open my wallet and say, well, here, I'll pay somebody else to do it for me.
Find someone else to do it. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Hey, that's how businesses are built.
That's right. Hey, if it's a real business, I can afford to have an employee, right?
That's right. Just we have a podcast on that coming out soon.
Oh, nice.
I don't think you've heard that one yet.
I look forward to listening to that. Yeah, that's good. Okay, Jared, what side hustle do you have? I'm actually really curious to hear.
So 2024, I feel like I can't keep cycling back to these old ones necessarily. Although obviously there's many side hustles in the works that I'll continue to update on. Amazon influencer, my weekend growth, I guess, brand at this point. Can you believe it? It's actually like a brand. We got a YouTube channel, we got a newsletter, and it generates revenue every month consistently now. It's like a little engine. So lots to talk about there. But I've been thinking a lot throughout the month of January about what side hustle I wanted to put my focus into, and so a new one for me this year, a new one that I'm going to share publicly. Always scary to share publicly, but I did that with the Weekend Growth brand and it went well. I did that with the Amazon Influencer Program and it went well. I keep saying I'm going to have a flop publicly here, so maybe this is the one. But I am going to dive and dip my toe into the world of public speaking in 2024.
Nice.
Now,
That's exciting.
This is nothing new for me. It's new in that I haven't done any of this in 5 or 6 years, but I used to speak publicly quite a bit. I went on a national tour one year and stuff. I'd speak at conferences, whether it's keynotes or whatever they want to, the 1 hour like kind of focus sessions on tours on large platforms. And so, 2024, I'm going to set a goal of trying to speak at 4 different places, and for the lack of a better term, we'll say conferences. And I'm not putting many goals outside of that in place, but I want to start getting back into that. I feel like it's something that I really enjoyed when I did it. It was something that I felt like I'm a decent communicator, so I think I did an okay job at it. And I think my agency is at a point now where it would be about more than just speaking, but there would also be a lot of value that I could get from speaking, and then the connections I could build up through that and the different things that come out of, kind of being at these events and that sort of thing. And so I'm put on the wall 4 events in 2024. Don't know where I'm going to find those. Don't know how I'm going to do that, but I've done it before. And so I'm going to start going after that.
Yeah, so that's my first question is here. We're at the end of January, and if you want to speak at 4 events, you probably need to start, locking in some of those conferences. Do you have any in the works? Are you ready to make any announcements for anything, or nothing locked in yet?
I will be speaking at the Affiliate Gathering, which is Carl Broadbent's conference in May. That will be in the UK. I have another one in the works that should get announced in the coming weeks that I've been working on this month. A larger one, actually. I'm really excited about this one. It's a larger conference, and I have that would, if those both were, Affiliate Gathering is live now, and if the second one goes live and everything gets ironed out, that would be 2 out of the 4, and I have no idea where the other 2 are coming from.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting though, that you've got a couple in the works already.
Yeah.
And I'm confident that, especially now with the podcast here, you've been doing it for a couple of years basically, that if you put the word out that you're looking to speak publicly, like, I don't think you're gonna have problems finding a couple more spots.
And that's the thing about this. And again, another big encouragement, like, I don't anticipate making $1 from the actual speaking. Now, I have gotten paid as a speaker many times in the past, but I haven't done it in a while, so I don't expect to command a speaking fee. Those do exist. They happen all the time, but I don't expect it to be that. But again, like, looking at things for the long-term benefit rather than maybe just the immediate paycheck. And I do think that expanding my network, meeting people, putting myself out there, talking about something in my business, whatever it is that I get chosen to speak on, those things will have long-ranging impacts. And so that's kind of the long-term goal there. Yes, speak at 4 events, but really evaluate this over the course of several years and the effects of that.
Right. And obviously it's a sort of a tried and true method, right? I mean, it's another level of content marketing. We talk about different phases, right? You got blogging that, it can build a connection, but video builds an even better connection. Podcasting builds a much deeper connection because people are listening to you. But if they can listen, watch, and see you in person and shake your hand, right? Like, that's the best way to build a relationship so that people trust you.
I mean, it's true. Obviously, we swung out of in-person stuff ever since COVID, and It's come back in different fits and spurts, of course, but I just reminded like the power of being in person. And obviously our jobs are very much behind a computer screen. And that's all well and good. Like, I love that. Like I used to travel so much for work, and I hardly have to travel anymore. And I'm here with my kids, my family, and I can do stuff and be a part of soccer practice and all the things I like about being home. But there's something powerful about being in person with people and going further than just an online call on a Zoom or whatever it is,
Did you go to any conferences last year?
No, I can't think of any.
Do you remember when the last conference is that you went to? Have you gone to something after COVID?
Yes, I keynoted a conference in November of 2022.
Okay.
I spoke at a conference in October of 2022. And then I don't think I did anything in 2023, actually.
Yeah. Okay. So it's been a good, year and a couple months.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
So
yeah, you're our conference goer of the two of us here. I feel like there was a period where every other week you were gone at a conference and we were doing the podcast with someone else.
There was a back-to-back conference, last May and June, where I was at a couple.
Yeah, and then FinCon. Sure. You're at FinCon in October?
FinCon. And that was another back-to-back. I did FinCon, and then there was Rhodium Weekend. There was like end of September, early October, something like that. So you're right. Yeah. I did kind of double up twice. So, well, cool. I'm excited to hear how that goes.
Let me ask you, because you have spoken at different events. What's been the biggest, I guess it's hard to evaluate, but just off the cuff, what's been the biggest benefit for you from speaking at events over the years? I'm guessing it's not like, I get a lot of email subscribers from it. I'm guessing it's not something so tangible,
No, not really. I think it is just building better personal relationships. I've had a lot of people that have reached out to me privately after I've spoken at events and will just, thank me, of course, for speaking. But then, we've hopped on calls and I've met some really, really interesting people that I'm glad that they reached out to me because they've got awesome businesses now that I'm familiar with. So it really is a great way to build the network. All of the tangible benefits are a little bit harder to track. Mm-hmm. Like I'm sure some people like bought Link Whisper or subscribe to my YouTube channel or, listen to the podcast now. But those are harder to quantify.
Totally. I know we've got a lot of good podcast guests because I get emails like, hey, Spencer, I met Spencer at this conference. We talked for 10 minutes and he thought my story would be really cool. And I'm like, cool.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can get a lot of that just by going to a conference. But when you speak, it becomes inbound, right? They come to you. Yeah. And so I look forward to, hearing where you speak and you can share how it goes on the podcast here. I'm sure you'll kind of fill us in throughout the next few months, how your goal goes.
Yep. I will keep you guys posted. It's one of the many side hustles I'll be reporting on this podcast here and there.
Very good. Well, let's jump into our weird niche sites. We teased your weird niche site a little bit earlier and that it was kind of, just an interesting one. But I'm going to start with mine here. So I found this. It was through Twitter. Somebody just commented. They didn't say, hey, share this. It was just totally, something else. I was like, this would make a good weird niche site. And so my site here is letslearnslang.com. Now, let me share my screen here. Beautiful website. Learn the slang before you travel. So it's like, hey, let's learn, here's one that's just showing up, right? British, 100 British slang words for hello. So if you're traveling to the UK, which I guess you are, Jared.
I am
speaking there.
I should say hi. Go on.
All right. Hello. Anyways, they got 100 examples. Up. I've never heard of that one. Hi, oi. Anyways, I won't read all of them.
What's that show? The Ted Lasso. That's the guy who always goes, oi. Roy.
There you go.
No, is that his name?
Cheerio.
There you go.
Cheerio. Hello and goodbye. Good day.
Good day. Good day.
Good day. Good day.
Howdy.
So there tons of different, sort of slangs for different. I was reading, what was the other one that I was reading that was pretty good? They had another one on here, but what I found is that a lot of their website is not necessarily about this. Like, they've got funny quotes, they've got rhyming words, they've got weird words, and all sorts of things that are related to just language in general. But there is a lot of like slang. Oh, let's look at this Canadian slang. That should be a good one. I have not vetted this previously, so let's see. I got to click the read more button, of course, to get that. Beauty. Beauty doesn't just necessarily refer to someone's level of attractiveness in Canada. In fact, it is often used to refer to someone or something that's high quality. Okay.
I think she's a beauty.
Yeah. Got a biff.
He biffed
to mess up. Yeah, he biffed up. Blockhead.
With an H.
Bog trotter. I don't know what a bog trotter is.
That's a new one.
Person who hails from the province of New Brunswick is a bog trotter.
Wow.
Didn't know that. Well, there's a lot here. We're not going to go through all of them, but let's just take a look at. Obviously, you can see ads everywhere. It's a content play. A lot of words, and they have done pretty well historically in Ahrefs. At their peak, if you can see the screen here, nearly 800,000 organic searches or organic visitors per month. But they took a big dip, you guessed it, right around September 2023 with the helpful content update. They're now down to 163,000 organic visitors a month. They got hit really, really hard, right? That's down 5x, something like that. But they're still ranking for some things. If we look at the organic keywords, Rihanna nickname, caveman names, Spanish words that start with CH, Spartan names, funny character names, and the list goes on.
Yeah, and funny 5-letter words.
Yeah.
11. I saw like 11, 111 words that are 11, 11 characters long. I saw a lot of that.
So kind of fascinating to see all the different combinations of words you can put together. There's so many search terms that, like we've just given some of these, they're trying to hit on all of those. I kind of wonder if they just stuck with slang, if they'd have a little bit better topical authority.
Yep.
Right. And instead of broadening to like, hey, here's caveman names or, Spartan names or whatever, weird 5-letter words. They've kind of broadened maybe too much. That would be my only maybe thing I'd point out about this website.
Their about page waxes poetical though about slang. I don't know if I could read a couple paragraphs from their about page. As it says here, a lot they have on the about page, but of course, no exploration of language would be complete without a foray into the vibrant realm of slang words and idioms. Slang is the beating heart of a language, revealing the ever-evolving nature of human expression. Unravel the hidden meanings, cultural references, and peculiarities behind slang words and idioms from different regions and time periods. From casual conversations to pop cultural references, you'll be immersed in the vibrant tapestry of linguistic creativity.
Wow, that's deep. That is somewhat poetic, isn't it?
I was gonna say, boy, that's the best rendition of slang I think I've ever heard.
That's right. Almost makes you wonder if ChatGPT.
I was about to say, if that doesn't have AI all over it, I don't know what does.
Yeah. Notice, anyways. It's got a picture of Gabriel Cruz, the lead editor of the exciting website.
Is that a real picture?
I don't know.
I
don't know. And there's not much about Gabriel Cruz on this page, other than he's been captivated by the unique ways in which people express themselves.
That is 100%. Someone went to Midjourney and said, "Give me a business casual look of somebody named Gabriel Cruz."
It really does. I mean, the more I look at the whiskers and the hairline, it just something feels. It's the uncanny valley, right?
Exactly. Trust me, as somebody who used to be a professional photographer, the uncanny shine that happens in that photo is not very natural to achieve.
Busted. Oh, busted. Let's learn slang. We got you.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I hate to insinuate, but I don't know. It has all the signs.
If I were a betting man, I'd go all in on.
There you go.
On this being AI.
I mean,
all right.
monetized by Mediavine. What did you say the traffic was at its peak?
Yeah,
estimated?
Almost 800,000 organic visitors a month.
I mean, even if it was a smash and grab job per se, like that's a good month right there, right?
Absolutely. And just going back. I mean, the site, it looked like beginning of 2022 is when the site came out.
So it was pre-AI.
It did really well.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if it was
while.
pre-AI and had a lot of actual slang, and then AI came out and like, let's just go wide and deep on this, and then look at that spike around the time that ChatGPT was coming to prominence.
Very interesting theory.
Right? And then
I like it.
And then we might see a second site that looks a little bit like that graph right there coming up next, and then bam.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, I don't want to be presumptuous, but I guess our job on here is to be a little bit presumptuous as we talk about things we have absolutely no history on.
And I just realized I slipped up. I was sharing the wrong screen. I may have revealed your weird niche site accidentally. I was showing the Ahrefs tab for your site for a second.
That was
here.
mine? Well, I just said it looks ironically similar to the one I'm about to share.
It looks very similar. Very similar.
Yours has a little bit more of an introductory tale to it, or
well, the cat's out of the bag now. I guess we better just share your site.
This is a good test for how many listeners at this point were actually paying close enough attention that they found it. Obviously,
how many people are rewatching? That improves the algorithm. We get people to rewatch certain sections.
There you go.
So
we should do more of these Easter eggs, a little more of these little slip ups. It's like what is it in movies when people go back and find all the glitches?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Oh, enough about that. So my site is easytoilettips.com. And it is, it is a site about toilet tips, I'd say that a site specifically focused on toilets is weird enough, but I did want to message you and say, you want to talk about toilet topics here on the podcast?
Sure, we want to go that direction.
Yeah, we haven't reduced ourselves to, being 12-year-old boys yet. And apparently today's the day we do that.
There's a lot of tips to be had related to the toilet.
1,245 pages worth, apparently. Obviously, if you're watching on screen, you can see that this site lacks any sign of stylistic or user experience factors. It is a homepage that is 994 pages deep. It only features 3 or 4 posts before moving you on to the next homepage screen. Mm-hmm. And it's no imagery, many articles being published in the same day. Nothing has been published in a year from today. And when I take it over to Ahrefs, as I alluded to, there are 1,245 pages. All you have to do is click in. And again, our language site from earlier makes this site makes our language site from earlier look like Shakespeare.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is as AI generated. Crank it out as as you see, right? It is, one of the articles is, I'll read it out loud really quickly. Apparently I'm in a reading out loud kind of motif today. It's why do soft closed toilet seats stop working? And, the introduction is captivating and riveting. My soft closed toilet seat stopped working. Please, how do I fix it? That's the question almost every owner of toilets with soft close mechanisms asks at one point or another during the equipment's lifetime. The invention of the soft closing toilet has proven revolutionary. It's quieter than the conventional toilet seat, making things cleaner and safer. I didn't know quiet made things cleaner. Anyways, especially in environments where small children are present. And it goes on and on.
It's fascinating. Who knew there was so much to write about?
Now,
before you actually say anything.
Now, the cat's out of the bag. You want to share the Ahrefs screen grab of traffic there?
Let's put it up permanently here for a minute or two. Look at this.
Yeah, here it is. You've already seen this. I mean, so I don't want to be too. it clearly had origins before AI came out, right? Or maybe not. Maybe this was a Jasper play, right? Like, I don't know. Like, this content's so bad. I didn't go back and look at some of the stuff from early on, but I mean, it's clear that they grew the traffic quite a bit. I mean, quite a bit. They grew the traffic to maybe 2,000 page views a month, and then I mean, the site isn't de-indexed, but it ranks for
It might
one
as well
keyword.
be.
It ranks for one keyword.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I look at organic traffic. It just shows 0, 0, 0 over the last several weeks, right?
This is, I mean, part of me is glad that Google's algorithm in its current state of really being not great, as we've talked about, at least got this one right? This is just awful. And if I were actually maybe a plumber who was putting out really high quality tips on, some of these toilet questions, I'd be pretty frustrated if this was ranking above me.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, they I don't even think that they got the smash and grab earnings that we saw from the earlier site. It's monetized on Ezoic at a peak of 2,000 page views a month. I mean, what are we talking? $60?
Yeah, maybe. So here we can compare about pages, right?
Yeah.
We've got the about page on Easy Toilet Tips. This is not as well written, or at least not as long, right? It's like 3 or 4 sentences here. And no pictures of the author. All we know is that there's a Daniel, first name only, that appears to have written all the articles on the website.
I like their tagline there, Spencer. Sorry I interrupted you. Easy Toilet Tips, the #1 source for lavatory bias-free reviews. That's a mouthful.
Yeah. The #1 source for lavatory bias-free reviews. Yeah, makes you wonder if this was English as a first language founder. I don't know. Just I don't know. Could be wrong. But maybe they went to Fiverr, maybe they didn't to get this logo. But that's pretty much it. They got a logo and then like how many thousands of articles?
I mean,
right?
A stock WordPress theme out of the box, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and for those of you who aren't who don't, or maybe this is your first completely AI driven site you've seen, like that chart we saw on Ahrefs is very typical of many AI driven sites, right? They will come out of the gate growing traffic, and due to the sheer number of pages that get published, and hopefully, if you're doing it right, you're making them semantically related, you're doing some internal linking, due to all those factors, like you can see these growth curves, but so common to see them just one day fall off the proverbial cliff like this. This does have a lot of the earmarks of what some of them look like.
Yeah. No, it does. So it's a fascinating site. Maybe on that note, I will tease actually just a YouTube video that I have coming out on Monday that is all about this AI content generation, that is about a competition that I held, people trying to grow an existing website using AI content. The challenge was to see how much you could grow your current website by adding some AI content, and how much traffic would that generate. And so I have the results to share. It's been 90 days. And so if you want to watch that YouTube video, it comes out on Monday in a couple days. It's a good one. So
don't want to harken back,
fun.
But didn't you have one of your side hustle shenanigans? Wasn't it a completely AI driven site that I think had a similar ending to the one we just saw?
Boy, oh boy. Yeah, that was something I was going to never mention again. So thanks for bringing that up, Jared.
Well, I could have said that looks like the graph from your faceless YouTube channel, but that would have just been taking it too personal.
All right, I'm going to just quit and, drop the mic now. And we'll cut this out. But yes, my faceless YouTube channel tanked. My AI website tanked. Half of what I do just,
we appreciate you putting yourself out there.
It's fun. No, it's all fun. And that's why I share my stuff, so you don't have to make the same mistakes that I repeated.
This guy didn't listen
over and over again that I tend to make. So I don't know where we go from here, other than I think we're done here. I appreciate everybody listening in. If you do want to watch my YouTube video coming out on Monday, go over to Niche Pursuits YouTube channel. And as always, if you want to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, go over to the new Niche Pursuits podcast YouTube channel. Yes, we forgot to give an update on that, didn't we, Jared?
We almost hit 1,000. We didn't quite hit 1,000 though. I checked like 2 days ago.
We did not hit 1,000.
But we did pretty well.
We did pretty well. We're getting real close to 800, I think.
I mean,
I was going to try and find it
you know what
real
they say,
quick.
Shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you land amongst the stars, Spencer, you know?
Yeah, we're real close to 800 here. But hey, first full week,
yeah,
I can't complain. 800 subscribers.
Not bad at all. It's not bad.
So,
but if you haven't subscribed, please do, so we can kind of inch closer to that magic 1,000.
Yeah. Yep. And that's where, of course, this episode will be. So if you're listening on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Other than that, thank you everybody for listening, and I hope you have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Today's episode is sponsored by Search Intelligence. Here's a short clip of Ferry from Search Intelligence showing you how their agency built digital PR links to a client's website.
What a crazy campaign. How to sleep on your back. This campaign got us links in Huffington Post, Glamour magazine, Mirror, and lots of other great news publications. Let me show you how we've done it. It was so simple. Our sleep client provided us with expert commentary about how to train yourself to fall asleep on your back. They also gave advice on why it's best to sleep on your back. Once we've had this information, we went to Muckrack and searched for journalists that consistently write about sleep and well-being. We've sent these journalists the advice provided by the client, and within 1 day the links started flowing in. Glamour magazine, a DR81 website, picked it up. Huffington Post, DR88, Mirror UK, DR90. A massive avalanche of links blasted to our client's website with this simple yet effective campaign about how to sleep on your back. I hope this inspires, and I hope you'll use this technique to land massive links to your or your client's website.
Thanks for joining us today on the podcast. Just a final reminder that it was brought to you by Search Intelligence. And if you're looking for link building PR campaigns for your website, just head over to search-intelligence.co.uk and get in touch with them today. Cheers.